Hello and welcome to this tour of EFG's Star Wars Galaxy Edge build, which they did all in vanilla, which is quite impressive. And so we're going to get our pipette. You might remember this builder from the pipette tour of their cryptic creatures map, and this is another really impressive map. And yeah, really a love letter to Galaxy's Edge. And starting with the sign here, just some nice shapes. With nice, nicely placed to build this out. And we'll start on the sort of west side here. Really nice foliage, ground display, and this is, I think it's a little more approachable, although this is still quite a lot of work to build, a slice of a park. And so it's nice how they placed it on the black here, and they've used cubes to kind of hide the path that the guests come in on. So we get right in here, and our first ship is the A-Wing, and it looks awesome. We've got the prolate on the side, some nice diagonal cubes to shape this here. Lots of borders, cable piece, so that works great. Recolored crates, which is, I believe, relatively new. A new pavilion awning from the Dinosaur DLC. And then our second ship here is, of course, the iconic X-Wing. Again, lots of great detailing. Also good, contrast in materials. We got some of the shiny metallic shafts. The cable has this little different metallic piece on the end, so that works really well. And this was the metal sculpture. You almost never see that used in this game, but it works perfect as the nose cone. And then some nice animations on our R2 astromech unit. Really nice tiny details on the evaporator station. Ornate pole looks great. And then we got a vendor here, a little droid cart. These spheres are sort of the BB droid style in the park. Awesome to see that recreated here. And then they cleverly used a custom text sign, and this is like the letter I lowercase, just to get the detailing on the top and bottom here. So yeah, really clever part usage just right off the bat. And then we get to our first ride, the Rise of the Resistance. A nice ion cannon entrance. Placed at a diagonal, looks great. The queue meanders past all this beautiful foliage and rock work, past the nice waterfall, and into the first ship here, past Poe's black and orange X-Wing. And I noticed this uses the marshmallow piece, which is quite interesting. You almost never see that used from the candy set. But yeah, recolored, you get this kind of interesting, organic rounded shape there. So I'll have to try to use that more. And then a window piece here is a bit of greebling, an awning, getting some nice shaping there. And yeah, really lots of nice details. The Taurus to kind of cap off these engines. And I mean, it looks spot on. And if you follow this path, we'll get to our first kind of cutaway. So in the ride, the ship then transports you into the Star Destroyer where you've been picked up. And so we've got a nicely done TIE fighter with this octagon piece, which I also don't use very often, but works great here. It's a good piece to remember exists. And then we've got these really cool stormtroopers that are all built with just shapes, large octagon cubes, cylinders. And if we spin this around, cylinders on their side, kind of doing the cheekbone of the helmet. And then this is super clever. This little ornament piece actually works great as a little gun. So especially when you zoom out, yeah, spot on. And going past some of the rock work here, which in the real park is just like this. That's set up so to the guests it just looks like a distant mountain, but no reason to build a bunch of rock that the guests will never see. So this is what you get. And then we've got our ride. So starting with the AT-AT hall, some nice lights here representing the laser beams, as well as a window piece, which is used quite effectively as these very thin plates on the side of the head of this walker. So yeah, smart piece usage there. I think chimneys as well kind of this brutalist architecture. Past the cannon room, which is very exciting in the ride. These large cannons are moving around. Again, the chimney piece works well. And then into our Kylo Ren encounter. This animatronic was unfortunately not working when I was there, but does look quite cool here. Hexagon, and then I like how they've done, if we can zoom in here, the skeleton is embedded to give us that arm on the side. Quite clever. And then the ride takes us out right here. We've survived our encounter, and now we're come out the exit out of this hangar here, which looks great. And I really like, and you'll see this throughout these tourist pieces, as hanging cables. Past some nice vendor stalls, lots of good detail in there. And we'll pause here. You can see they've got this very organic path shape in Vanilla Parkitect, and the way they've done that is if we turn off the decorations, you can see, this is how your path would normally look, kind of boring, but they've covered up the edges, and then, here where they want it to curve out, they use a roof piece, so the guests aren't going to, clip through the bushes here on the rocks, but a roof piece to kind of match the path texture, and then they just, continue this detailing with some free placement of burial mounds and rocks, which give you this nice organic shaping. And that brings us up to the marketplace. Lots of variety in all the pillars, the colors, the texture. This really eclectic collection of ornaments and architecture here. Spot on. We've got the wagon wheel giving us some free detailing on these nicely done lamps. Good recoloring of the paper lantern. Some more of these new pavilion, old pavilion. Goes great together. More of these marketplace stalls, very nice. And then our, I believe these are called the Tonto Cafe here. Some sort of nice appetizing looking thing with these marshmallow pieces again. Very nicely done. And then this is quite clever. The pillar piece, which is relatively new, has this nice rocky texture, and they've recolored it and got, all this kind of free texture and detail just from that one piece. Looks fantastic as lava. Probably a lot of other applications. Embedding this, maybe you could go crazy and detail a whole pathway with this kind of cobblestone texture of the top of the pillar, and then a nice custom rounded fence as well with just some trellis posts. All right, we'll zoom out a bit here just to kind of take it all in. Yeah, very nice. Good use of the sci-fi pieces. Go under this bridge here. And then we get to the droid building shop. Nicely built little droids. They look fantastic. They've embedded some cones here for some little micro detailing. And we've got some more ships over here we can take a look at. I noticed they fully detailed out this little land speeder. And this is just a, border 45-degree angle. Yeah, it works great as a windscreen. And then lights the nice detailing with the prolate as the engine pods. And then I like the speeder here. The cable brackets give you this really neat kind of shiny texture that catches the light. Yeah, it looks fantastic. Another drink vendor here. We come around. This is a cool part of the park. There's a few different ways to enter. Here we've got some nice kind of stepped up detailing. Makes this look taller than it actually is. And we've got some First Order presence on this side of the map. Our stormtroopers again, as well as his great tie, a prolate, some hexagon, really gets that sci-fi feel. Yeah, this just looks great. I love this kind of blue-gray color they went for. Just spot on again. And then let's see, a text sign to detail this pod or tank here, very nice. And some scaffolding, yeah, embedded the scaffolding. Clever. More nice First Order signs, another drink vendor, and then I believe if we go over here, yes, the guest can enter here. Got a nice sign there, and yeah, make your own custom lightsaber. Looks like got some examples on display. Yeah, very nice. I also really like this this cube detailing they did here. This little not guest accessible, but some path up here. Nice bridge. And then we've got our other amazing indoor scene of Oga or Aga's Cafe or Cantina. And yeah, lots of nice shape usage. You know, they've just added a lot of clutter just by having, you know, different shapes. Like the cups themselves, obviously just cylinders, but you add this all up and it kind of more than the sum of its parts. There's just a lot of energy in this space. And yeah, I like this vent. You get a little movement there. Lots of cables at all sorts of angles, and then our bartender, the little headphone setup, some movement from the coil gear. Very nice. All right, and yeah, nice outdoor eating area on this side. Some of the new broken arch pieces really kind of fit in the, you know, this is something that's been here for probably hundreds of years. And that stew's probably been going for hundreds of years as well. Some of the new statue pieces as well over here, very nice. It looks like we're under attack by strange little bumblebees. I'm not quite sure what those are. I feel like there's normally just crows. Maybe this is oh, they're little pigeons. Let's see. Can we find them? Oh yeah, little birds. Very nice. I thought they were only crows. Alright, you learn something new every day. And back to our regular programming here. We'll continue our tour. Nice, another kind of the jumper transport ship that's up here. Looks spot on with the coloring. Some nice greebling using the cogs. And ooh, some text pieces for some really micro kind of border detailing. Nicely done. And then let's see what else we've got. Our this is really just the most impressive part of this of ship build, I think, and the whole map, just to really capture the Millennium Falcon silhouette. And you can actually get this as a blueprint on the workshop if you want to plop this down in your own park. So thanks EFG for sharing that with everyone. And yeah, just, you know, all these little pieces, wedge gears, layered together, some cables, again, as these turrets, ovals. Yeah, I think the oval works really well to kind of break up everything beyond gray. Looks like a sci-fi tower piece there. You can really scale those up. And yeah, that just looks great, and it's surrounded in this kind of beautiful landing bay here. And then the guests, looks like they enter here for the Smuggler Runs ride, come up around the show scene, where you get to take a close-up look at one of the engines, kind of this workshop here. And this looks great in this build. And yeah, that really is the whole park. We can look again at the backstage, which is cool that they've, you know, built that, really captured the whole space. And you might notice there's a backstage entrance here, and then I believe it's this backstage entrance that was for a brief period used for that weird U-Haul that would take you from the Galaxy like Starliner hotel thing that they had set up, and then you go in the hot spaceship interior and get dropped off here, right? So very strange and immersive and short-lived, but cool to see that all represented here. And one last thing we can take a look at, if we drop into first-person mode, you know, obviously they didn't build it and hold up under the scrutiny, but it does, and it looks great. We've got a nice view of our X-Wing. There's the crows. And the cool thing from this view is you can see those rocks way in the distance, and you really get that forced perspective, or just, you know, this impression that the mountains go on and on back there. So that is quite cool to see, you know, in the digital world works as well. So I encourage you all to check out this map. Thanks again, EFG, for sharing this with us all and your hard work. And yeah, really impressive. Hope you all enjoyed the tour. See you on the next one.